welcome to our live broadcast. Today is Wednesday, and we are going to be discussing 3 ways, or I'll share with you 3 ways you can stop sugar cravings. And I know sugar cravings are that thing, or is that thing that really does make us super fearful about changing things in our nutritional lifestyle. And it also makes us very scared about doing something like intermittent fasting. The reality is breaking a sugar craving habit that your body has, or breaking a sugar addiction, probably more specifically, is a scary thing because it is painful and it is something that is really difficult for us to endure, especially when we don't understand why it's happening. So I'll touch a little bit on that as well. So welcome. My name is Diane, and I help women find ways to really stop, slow down, and reverse the aging process through the practice of intermittent fasting. And here in this community, I go live Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday to discuss some of the things that we can start incorporating to really take advantage of the power that we have in reversing the aging process, and more specifically, really lightening up some of those side effects and things that we're feeling as we start going through the hormonal changes that come with the aging process. So today, we will be talking about 3 very specific things that can help us really stop those sugar cravings. So first and foremost, what we want to do to really stop sugar cravings is to become very aware of where our sugar is coming in. Lots of times, or there are a lot of times in our life where we become super busy and disconnected, and we are not conscious about where our food is coming in from and what that food really is made up of. And so we mindlessly move our way through the day, consuming sugars that we are not tracking or conscious of. And so I would say the first thing we want to do to really curb those sugar cravings is become a conscious consumer. We want to make sure that we are in a present state of mind and we're very conscious when we are in a feasting opportunity. One of the huge benefits of intermittent fasting and making a very specific decision about a time frame within our 24-hour period that we are not going to be consuming any food is an opportunity for us to become very conscious. We are going to take a period of time within our day and do nothing, have no sugar exposure at all. Then when we open up our feasting window, we do become a little bit more aware and a lot more conscious of what it is that we are going to put in our body when we start to open up that feasting window. If you're putting in sugars that maybe at one time you were not aware of, your body will send you an immediate signal that what you're doing doesn't feel good and will stop you in your tracks and really start to make you aware of those chemical reactions that happen when we are putting sugar in our body that our body is not happy with. So the first thing we want to do to cut those sugar cravings is to be very conscious in our feasting window, or just conscious of how it is we are consuming food in general, knowing what it is that we're putting in our body and listening to those signs and signals that our body is sending us when we are putting something in that it can no longer tolerate. We do have to create a good opportunity, though, for our body to become depleted of sugar, for that sign and signal to not be comfortable. Remember, sugar is very, very addictive. And if our body is in need of it because it has that addiction, which is also present when we have those cravings, then the signal that you're going to get when you put sugar in your body is not going to feel bad. It's going to feel good because that's what your body's craving. So you have to get a little bit uncomfortable in that unconscious or in that conscious state, and get yourself out of that unconscious state so that the signal your body's sending you is the appropriate signal when we put sugar in our body, which should not feel good to us because we want to break that addiction and we want to break that craving. So number 2 is we want to balance out our insulin. A lot of us are insulin resistant. That means our body is not producing insulin or releasing insulin in the correct way. It doesn't know how to regulate its own insulin responses. And so in order to really get that insulin in balance, we again have to create a window within our day where we have no new insulin response, where our body's actually going to have the opportunity to become depleted. Again, what that will do for us is create that heightened sense of sensitivity to sugars that we put into our body. And then again, we'll get that signal where we're not going to feel good when our body has something that enters into its system that is not what our body is needing to function at its best. So you can see how number 1 and number 2 are going to really start to work together. The more conscious we become, the better we get at creating an opportunity of fasting and depletion will get us into that insulin balance as well. All of a sudden, our body starts firing and sending us those signals that are more appropriate for us to live in a more balanced state. And then the third thing we want to think about when we're really trying to cut those sugar cravings is allow our bodies the opportunity to fully detox from sugar. That usually takes about 2 to 3 days. Oftentimes what's happening when we're trying to break sugar cravings, or we're trying to break that addiction, or anytime we try to create a new or healthier lifestyle for ourselves, that day 2 or getting over the hump of day 2 is really the most difficult time. That is when our body is screaming for the things that it's addicted to and screaming for the things that make working your body out even easier for your body's system. Remember, burning sugar is super easy for our body. Actually tapping into our fat stores as a source of energy takes work and a little bit of training. So your body will fight you when you're trying to get through that detox process. You'll have headaches, you'll feel fatigued. For a lot of us, we start to get that keto flu type of feeling. We don't feel well. And so we cave to the demands of our body under that addictive state. I highly encourage you to just get through those first couple of days. Once you round out into day 3 and day 4, your body will start to normalize itself, no longer be dependent on that sugar fix, no longer have those addictive types of signs and signals sending out to you, and you'll become more fat adaptive. Your insulin levels will start to balance out, and you will become very conscious of what happens when you enter in that feasting window. Intermittent fasting, and the way we practice it here in this community, really does help in the overall arena of really knocking out those sugar cravings and allowing your body to actually crave things that are going to be a little bit more nutrient dense. Remember, your body is going to crave what it's utilizing the best. And if you are craving sugar, that is because your body is utilizing sugar at its best. It doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the best thing for you. Getting your body in that depletion mode and really getting your body to that point where it's going to tap into its own resources and its own storage system to get into some of those reserves and really start utilizing fat as its primary source of energy will really help offset some of those uncomfortable feelings and help your body produce energy levels in a more efficient way. So it's totally conceivable to be able to break sugar habits, but you have to, and sugar cravings, but you have to really think about what's going on in your body and have a plan for yourself, and know that you have about 2 or 3 days to get through the tough part, and then everything will start to balance itself out, and you'll have this whole new way of living that is a lot simpler, definitely healthier, and you'll find that you become so much less dependent on food because you don't have those cravings and your body's screaming at you for something that it doesn't really need or something that it probably can't utilize very well as well. So I'm going to take a second to welcome everyone who has jumped on with us today live. I'm going to jump on to Facebook quickly if you guys don't mind. Sherry's here. Nice to see you, girlfriend. Michelle is here as well. Jody's here. Diane from Pennsylvania, you're always here. I appreciate you being here with us. And then Patty from Oklahoma is here as well. I am going to sorry, Sherry. Do carbs contain sugar? Yeah, yes. Carbohydrates are usually the ones that have the highest sugar content in them. And then everything that you put in your body, if it's not used, eventually gets converted down into some sort of sugar storage on your body. So even too much protein can be problematic to us, and that's why I always really recommend that we don't over consume too many of one thing. And fat really is going to be that thing that's going to be readily available to us to use as an energy source and going to be the most efficient source of macronutrient for us. So underconsumption is always going to be the best. Everything that we're doing in an overconsumption type of situation is going to be problematic for us and will eventually end up putting us in a state of insulin resistance and or eventually a diabetic state. So you want to do everything in moderation, and then everything that we're doing in a fasting opportunity, remember, is going to create that natural depletion type of environment for our body and will put us in a situation where we're no longer over consuming because we're doing everything in a controlled window that has been preset by us post fasting time. So everything will eventually balance itself out for sure. Let's see, because I crave carbs. Yeah, Sherry, usually if you're craving carbohydrates, it is because you're sugar dependent. So I would definitely be very aware of where your carbohydrates are coming from. What I did when I was breaking my sugar cravings was I completely gave up fruit. And I didn't do it cold turkey. I did it in a weaning type of way where I just ate fruit on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So 2 days a week, I allowed myself to have a piece of fruit. And then I eventually got rid of that once my sugar cravings went away. So if you think that it might be really difficult to just go cold turkey and do like a 30-day no sugar kind of thing, which I know a lot of people try to do, is just gradually build in boundaries and a system for yourself where you're controlling where that sugar comes in. And then eventually you'll find that you're no longer craving those things, or you've just broken some habits. So I was a 2 to 3 piece of fruit day kind of person. And building in those boundaries of only having fruit on Tuesday and Thursday really did help change my mindset and helped me break some of those habits and dependencies on fruit. And then I eventually went with having no fruit at all. And now I'm at a place where I bring in fruit every now and then, but I don't over consume it because I just have a different way of thinking about fruit. So you have to just really build in some boundaries and some limitations at first that are very structured until you break those habits. Let's see, Yvette. From Maine, hello girlfriend. Carol from Kentucky, hello. Stephanie's with us. And then Tanya, how many carbs should I limit myself to? I always say that that's a very personal thing. There are some standards out there if you're following like a ketogenic type of lifestyle. What I try to just kind of visually and mentally do, I don't purposefully track my carbs or my macros in any way, but I really try to stay between about 75 to 100 grams of carbs a day. And then if I'm doing something experimentally, or I feel like I'm maybe starting to get into that craving type of a situation with my body again, then I go to 75 or less. And again, it's just usually taking one type of thing out of my daily feast, and then it'll get me back into that like controlled carbohydrate consumption. And so you don't want to really eliminate all carbs, in my opinion, and you don't want to go too extreme because then we start to feel deprived, or we start to feel a little sorry for ourselves that we can't have any of the fun things in life. So you want to just manage it. And I always say ebb and flow. There'll be seasons of your life where, being lower in your carbohydrates will be so much easier than other times. I know for me, it seems like the winter months are a little bit more difficult to go lower on the carb side, and now we're entering into spring and summer, and I have no problem cutting my carbs down to minimal, and I think it's just a cold weather type of thing. So you have to think about your season, you have to think about your lifestyle, you have to think about what's important to you and what makes you ultimately happy, and then find a happy balance in there, and just play around with some windows of carbohydrates, and then ebb and flow through those until you find a good combination that works for you. And let me see. Okay, so Tanya, I hope that helped with that question you had there about how you should limit your carbs. I really don't like to say that you should limit anything. I really do believe that what we should do should be incorporated into the lifestyle that we have. A lot of it has to do with the customs and courtesies that we live within our people or our families, or some of the things that we do traditionally. And it might make it more difficult for some of us to follow a pattern that others don't. So it's a big picture thing, and keeping the end in mind type of thing. And I think if we go too low and we deprive too much, then we end up throwing in the towel, or we end up feeling like we're missing out on too much of life, and then it's just not worth it. So try to find your happy medium for sure. Jessica, hello. Jennifer from San Antonio, right down the road. Welcome, girlfriend. And Jeanette from Missouri. Dana, Still going strong with IF, almost on toward 3 years. Yeah, me too, girlfriend. It is the best way to go. Linda, look forward to the chats. Look forward to having you with us, Linda, for sure. Terry, watching from British Columbia. I really needed this now. Seem to choose sugary foods in my feast. Okay, so what I would suggest doing, Terry, is maybe tracking what you're feasting on, probably more specifically what you're opening your feast with, and see if you might be reaching for the same type of things over and over again. One of the things that really caught me off guard were the different carb counts in different types of nuts. So we were snacking on mixed nuts, and depending on what type of nut maybe that you're snacking on could have a higher carb count than others, and that could be leading you to something where you're feeling like sort of like that addictive type of snacking mindlessly with a certain type of food. So keep a food journal for a couple days, see how you feel when you're breaking your fast, and most importantly, stay conscious within your feasting window and see if you can identify some areas that might be causing you some problems, eliminate them for a few days, and then see if you can create some new habits around your feasting window. Okay, let's see who else we got here. Sherry from New Jersey, welcome, girlfriend. And Linda, is there a benefit to drinking the celery juice to assist with detox process even though doing IF? There's a lot of benefits to celery juice. I don't have them all memorized. I know we have been incorporating a little bit of celery juice in our daily routine, mostly for my son who has been struggling with some acne, and he's also been struggling with some some other personal things that he has going on. So we started incorporating that with him. And then I really liked it. I liked the way it tasted. I liked the way it made me feel. It made me feel like I had just had a cup of coffee. And then I figured there was a lot more benefits to celery juice than there is to a cup of coffee. So I have been playing around with celery juice. I really try to not make it a be-all, end-all thing for myself. So I would say do a little bit of research. Medical Medium is the person who's behind the whole celery juice phenomenon. I don't think it can hurt you, but I don't think it's going to be the be-all, end-all either. So it's one of those things that if it fits in your life, I think it's going to be beneficial. And if it doesn't, you're not going to be missing out either. So try to find a happy medium with that one as well. And if you do it within your fasting window, remember it does break a clean fast. But what I have been experimenting with celery juice is that it doesn't create an insulin response that is noticeable for me personally in my body chemistry. Celery juice carries a really low glycemic load and it has a really low glycemic index. So it's not going to be the same as if you had an apple. So it's definitely going to be lower on the glycemic index. Play with it like everything else. And if you're doing it for a week and you haven't noticed anything negative going on, then I say your body's probably handling it very well. If you do it for a week and you don't like the results, or maybe you don't see any significant change and it's more trouble than it's worth, I would say ditch it and just go back to your clean fasting. It's the easiest way to get the best health results always. And then Marnie from Australia, back to IF from a break. Awesome, girlfriend, and you are one of our 2017 grads. Always good to have you guys back. Audrey, first timer here from Boston. Glad to finally tune in live. Audrey, it's good to have you live with us as well. Hopefully you are have subscribed to the channel. Patience, Carrie is new as well, so welcome, girlfriend. Always good to have new members here. Kathleen, listening in from Berlin. Congratulations, girlfriend. Hope you're having a good time. Enjoying IF on overseas business and feeling great. Fasting on the plane did eliminate jet lag. Awesome. So Kathleen and I had a little conference call before she went on her trip, and my suggestion was to fast on her travel day, and that's exactly what I do. I always fast on travel days. It's a really good opportunity to just reset your body's circadian rhythm. So even if you go through time changes or have a jet lag possibility, fasting will always be that thing that will really help your body reset and normalize. So she flew all the way to Berlin and she suffered no jet lag. So congratulations, girlfriend. Make sure you do the same exact thing on your way back to the States. And then Jeannie, and my carb tracker gives me 22 net carbs. Okay, there you go. So Jeannie's tracking her carbs and she's doing 22. I'm guessing she's feeling great. Jeannie, I'm new to this and I need more carbs during my week. I'm 51 years old. Okay, so what you want to do, Jeannie, is maybe create a range for yourself, and you pick a range. I think anything under 100 net carbs is usually pretty good when you're incorporating intermittent fasting. If you're just changing your nutrition and you're not creating a fasting window, then I think you have to stay on the lower side of carbs. If you are creating a fasting window, the longer fasting window you have, the more opportunity you will have to introduce more good conscious carbohydrates. And then you have to just find the magic number for you that's going to work based on the goals that you want to have for yourself. And Jeanette, carbs are my Achilles heel. I see lots of weight loss when I cut them, and candy or sweets in a particular week, I never lose that week. Do you recommend a tracker? I only recommend a tracker for those whose personalities can handle it. I am not a personality that can handle a tracker. I become a little bit too obsessive about tracking numbers, and it becomes sort of a mind distraction. I no longer remain conscious and present in my day, and can become a little bit habitual in it. So I personally don't like to track. I like to be aware. And then what I have done to really simplify my life and keep these sugar cravings under control is I have a set feasting like regimen that I turn to. We tend to repeat eat meals in my house. That really does simplify things. And then when we go out, that's when we deviate from things, and that's when we add in a little bit extra fun stuff, and that's when we try new things. But at home, we are on meal repeat, and we tend to have the same things over and over again, and that has really helped me not become obsessive about tracking things, and really has allowed me to feel fulfilled in my feasting window and enjoy what this lifestyle has to offer. So I say know your own personality. If you do well with tracking, I say track. If you don't do well with tracking, then just be aware. And I have to be honest with you, and Jeanette, candy and sweets are never going to be the thing that are going to get you to the goal that you're looking for. So you have to find a way to eliminate those and add in some things, or figure out why it is you keep turning to candy and sweets. Oftentimes it's emotional or mental. It has nothing to do with the physical part of things. So figure out why it is that candy and those sweets are entering in and keeping you from your goals, and then try to create new boundaries and habits for yourself to eliminate them, or put them on the reserve, so you only have them on very infrequent and special occasions for sure. And then Lupe, new to your channel, well, welcome Lupe, so happy to have you. Please make sure you subscribed. Terry, do you get most of your carbs from veggies? I would say veggies and siete chips for sure. We have actually just recently cut way back on our siete chip consumption, and it's helped tremendously. An open bag of siete chips is an empty bag of siete chips, so we try not to have those as frequently as we used to. So yeah, I would say potatoes and are definitely something we eat on the regular, but I also work out, so I don't stress out about those, and we load them up with fat. And then the rest of my carbs, I would say, would come from veggies, and we do still snack on some nuts and stuff. I just make sure that the nuts that I'm snacking on are of the lower net carb group of nuts, and that's helped a lot too. So pecans, walnuts, we have our baruca nuts. I do a lot of macadamia nuts, and then we've been consuming a lot of Brazil nuts lately, and those are all low on the net carb. So know your net carbs of foods as well. Just because you're snacking on nuts doesn't mean that they're going to be the thing that's going to keep you in that carb range that you want. The net carbs of things like snacky foods are very, very important to keep you in a good range. And then Jeannie, I do IF, I'm an organizer and love my tracker carb manager. Okay, so girlfriend, you're a perfect example of someone who benefits from tracking carbs, and I say use it. Use the tools to your advantage if they are a tool. If tools start to become a crutch, or you feel disabled without them, then those are those things that you want to make sure that you're being very mindful of. A lot of this really came to my understanding through exercise, and feeling like if I didn't track a run, then it didn't count, or I wasted my time. And we all know like that's really not the truth. You still ran, and so you got the benefit from running. And I think sometimes we get so caught up on our tools that we don't know how to live without them. So make sure that they're tools, in fact, and not a crutch for you, or they're not going to completely paralyze you if they're unavailable on any given day. Know your carbs just by knowing your food, and use the apps to enhance your progress, or to track something specific that you're shooting for sure. And then Kim, keto diet and down 21 pounds since January, stalled even doing IF. What do you recommend? I'm 60 years old. It would all depend on how much more weight you wanted to lose. And then I always just suggest, really evaluating what's that worth to you. If you have a significant amount of weight to lose, I always recommend having a good feast day and then going right back to your routine. Sometimes that's just what your body needs to kickstart something new. If you have a very tiny amount of weight to lose, like that 5 pounds that's haunting you or something, that's where I always seem to be at, that 5 pounds that's haunting me. It's not worth it for me to really worry about that. It's the difference between me being a happy, present mom and me checking out of my life to get to a perfect weight. It's not worth it for me at this point in my life. So reevaluate how much weight you want to lose, why it is you want to lose it, and then when you get there, is that going to really make you happy? Then you want to tweak some probably net carbs and see if you're getting enough fat in your day as well, or maybe just become a little bit more active. And then Michelle, just catching you live. I'm registered for the April IF course starting Saturday. I'm so excited. I am so excited too. It's going to be a really good course. Okay, let me see if I have anything else over here on Facebook. Deborah, great info. Glad you're here with us today. Teresa, that's okay that you're joining late, girlfriend. And Deborah, celery juice made me break out in a terrible rash, normal or not? Should I try again? I don't know. I haven't heard of that other than my husband, if he drinks celery juice consecutively, he gets a little bit of a rash inside of his mouth, so it's not worth it for him. Again, celery juice is not the be-all, end-all. There's so many other things that we need to consider when we're trying to live a healthy lifestyle. So don't use celery juice as a crutch, or don't use it as a means to justify some other things that are maybe still bad habits in your life. If it works for you, I say it works. If you have a rash and you don't want to deal with that, I would say don't bother. And just, fast, long, and clean, and feast well on things that don't make you break out in a rash for sure. Michelle, from October 2018 course, keto diet took my cravings away. Been doing it for a year and rarely crave sugar. Yeah, and that's because you're cutting out a lot of sugar. So remember, anything that we're addicted to is because our body has a dependency on it. Break the dependency, and then you won't have the cravings anymore. And the keto diet is really good for that, because you are really watching everything that you're putting in your body carb-wise, and you're eliminating anything that's nutritionally unnecessary. So congratulations, and I'm glad that that worked for you for sure. Meltem from Holland, welcome. So good to have you with us. And then Stephanie from Omaha, Nebraska. I did IF for a year ago and recently have gotten back into it. Looking forward to joining you on the 6th. Can't wait to learn more about clean fasting. Yeah, super, Stephanie, and having a little bit of experience under your belt's going to be perfect for you. You'll have a little bit of an edge the first week, and then everything else we're just going to keep practicing the fundamentals. So I'm super excited that you're going to be coming with us, and always feel free to share your personal experiences inside the course as well. And then Cardi B, wow, shout out, shout out Nick Gurr. Okay, well, shout out Nick Gurr. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks so much for your comments on YouTube, you guys. Thank you so much for your comments on Facebook. Sugar cravings. They aren't always the easiest to kick. You have to have a plan in place. The first thing you want to do is be very conscious of where those sugar carbs are coming in, or those sugar type foods. Oftentimes those quick fix, snacky, processed type foods will be the things that are going to get you in a bind every time. Eliminate processed foods. Try to go as whole food as you can. Balance out your insulin levels by incorporating some intermittent fasting. That is a really easy way to get yourself into that depletion mode of all that backed up and stored up sugar. That will eventually get you to that point where you won't be craving that sugar anymore. And then allow your body the opportunity to fully detox. Yes, there will be a couple of days that feel horrible, but you know that going in. So prepare yourself. When you start to really concentrate on breaking a lot of those sugar addictions, plan it out on your calendar. Make it a very mindful event, and know that on day 2 and 3, you're going to feel your worst. Make sure that when you hit day 2 and day 3, it's going to be an easy period of time for you within your week, so that you can get through it, get over that hump, and then really be able to walk away from a lot of that sugar that you think you need, but your body definitely doesn't need at all. Okay, let me see if there's anything else on here. Ann Jeanette, thanks. Not the personality to track. Awesome. So that's good to know. If I IF 16 plus hours, 7 days a week, weekdays, lunch is a salad, and dinner veggies and protein. I need to figure out this need for sweets during the female time. Yeah, maybe try to supplement something with that's more nutrient dense. So maybe around that time when you crave sugar, maybe make a sweet potato, and see if a sweet potato can satisfy that sweet craving you have, but actually provide nutrients for your body as opposed to just having some candy or some zero nutrient type of food. So nutrient density is also very crucial. I love potatoes. I'm not going to deny myself potatoes. I have a sweet potato a couple times a week, and it really does, when you're not so frequently consuming sugar, a sweet potato can feel like dessert, but it's going to have lots of nutrients for you. So schedule that in. Make sure you're calendaring that time and head it off with something like a sweet potato and see how that works for you, for sure. And then Yvette, would you address breaking a clean fast 18 to 6 hours or longer? I always say break a fast with what makes you feel your best. Oftentimes it's going to be a high fat, low protein type of thing. And then less than 20 grams of carbs for 4 months too. Awesome, girlfriend. So if you're less than 20 grams, you should know how to break a fast, because you don't have very many options, and hopefully what you're doing is making you look and feel your best. So quick announcement, and then I will let you guys go. I will not be here on Friday. I'm going to be out of town. I will be in California at a business conference. So I will be sharing a lot of my journeys on Instagram, my Insta stories. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, make sure you follow me on Instagram. I'll share a lot of stuff that I do there. And then our April 6th course registration will be closing Friday night. We'll probably close it around 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to get into the April course, please make sure that you register before then. I will be sending out emails today, tomorrow, and Friday with reminders of the fact that we will be closing registration. So get in for sure. The next one will not be until the beginning of May. And then for those of you who are in our master class series, who are graduates of my beginner program, I will be uploading today's content as soon as I get off of here. So that will be available to you. Make sure that you utilize the resources that you have available in that course, especially me. I am there to help you. And we'll be starting to practice some extended fasting there as well. So no live on Friday. I will be back on Monday. Check me out on Instagram if you want to follow me along on my travel journeys this weekend. And then any questions about today's topic, always feel free to circle back around, leave a comment or question in the comment box, and I will come back and make sure that I address that for you. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys on Instagram.